Here. We've been covering the disappearance of Madeline Kingsbury in Winona, Minnesota. Maddie disappeared on March 31st after dropping her kids off at daycare. So we are now on the 15th day that Maddie has been missing. And joining me now to talk about it is her sister, Megan Kingsbury. Megan, first of all, our hearts go out to you, everything that your family's having to deal with right now and for the past 2 weeks. How are you doing right now?
I'm hanging in as best as I can. Just kind of waiting with bated breath every day until we can figure out where Madeline is.
And you've been kind of the face of all these interviews for the family. It must be pretty personally exhausting for you as well.
Yeah, it has been. I've had to take some breaks from it, but I feel like it's kind of the best thing that I can do to advocate and keep her name and her face out there. So I'm happy to do it.
Okay. I'd like our listeners and viewers to get a better idea of the person that Maddie is. Where did you guys grow up and where did Maddie go to high school?
We grew up in Farmington, Minnesota, and Madeline went to Farmington High School down there. She was a cheerleader and very involved in a lot of things with her school.
Okay. And then just tell me a little bit more about your family. She's a younger sister to you.
Yep, she's the youngest. There's three siblings. So Madeline, myself, and then we have an older brother named Steven.
Okay. And personally, you and Maddie very close.
Very, yes.
After graduating high school, where did Maddie's life take her from there?
She decided to go to college at Winona State, down here in Winona, and she had a great time. She loved it here, did really well at school, and most people, when they come here for school, they don't stay, but she did because she loved it. It's a beautiful area. She had a lot of really great connections that she made here, so she's been down here ever since.
And where does Maddie work and what does she do?
Madeline currently works at the Mayo Clinic. She's a clinical researcher. Gosh, the department name is long, but I know it has to do with like infectious disease. Um, and she had done some work approving um, some grants and things to do with kind of some like medical studies and things like that. She works from home most of the time, but a couple days a week she would go up there physically,
To
talk to
Rochester.
stuff. Yes, yes.
Okay. And how far of a drive is Rochester from Winona?
Um, I think it's about an hour or
Mhm.
so.
Okay. And so where in Winona does she live? Is it like in town or in the country?
It's pretty close to town. It's kind of right on the border of Winona and Goodview.
Okay. So does it like is it a townhome?
Yes, it's like a side by side, so they have a connected wall with their neighbor.
Okay. When you're there, does it feel like you're in a city or in the country?
Um, it feels more of like the country for sure. I'm from Minneapolis, so it's a lot different from where I live.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a country feel.
Okay. And from what I understand, she was living with the father of her two children.
Yes.
And he's released a statement in the last week, so his name is out there now, which is Adam Fravel. Is it fair to say that they were no longer dating? I know that he's been referred to as the boyfriend, and I might have done that accidentally, but is it fair to say that they were no longer boyfriend girlfriend at the time?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And Maddie was looking for a new place to live in the near
She
future.
Yeah, she still wanted to stay in the area. Her kids go to daycare and stuff around here.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I think she was looking still in Winona or in Goodview.
Okay. And so you mentioned that she worked often from home. Does that for her consist of like a lot of like checking in with meetings with people, or is she kind of like really working on her own at home?
I think it's a mixture of both. They use Microsoft Teams, and so it would show when she was online, and people would call her, message her often. She did a lot of emails, and then yeah, she did a lot of stuff on her own too.
And how often on a normal day do you communicate with her?
Oh, a lot.
Mhm.
I work from home as well, so I mean, sometimes we FaceTime and just kind of co-work together. But yeah, I would hear from her every single day, at least probably 2 or 3 times.
Okay, and she has two kids. How old are they?
Her daughter Eliana is 5, and her son Noah is 2.
Okay, and I mean that's just heartbreaking for everyone to imagine. But how are the kids doing right now?
They're doing really well. They're in a safe place and in really good hands, so they're doing great.
Okay. Um, can you tell me a little bit about what Maddie's normal routine would be on a day where she, gets up, gets the kids ready, and then what happens from there?
Yeah. So she'd get up, get the kids ready to go. Her daughter Eliana would go to a preschool a couple days a week. Um, and then the other days they would both go to the same daycare. So they'd get dropped off at daycare, and then she would come back home and just kind of be working for the day. Um, she might run an errand or two in the afternoon. She loves Target, so she'd go get stuff at Target. Um, but yeah, she would pretty much be home and then go pick up the kids. And after that, I mean, she'd be with the kids all the time. With the warmer weather out, they go to the park and stuff. Um, but yeah, her days revolved around those kids when she wasn't working.
Now, police have made it clear that they believe that her disappearance was involuntary and suspicious, and I just want to help people understand a little bit more about that. Can you talk about what Maddie? It's pretty clear that Maddie had plans, right? Both short term and long term. Can you kind of go into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, on the 31st, the next day, I mean, she was going to come to my house with her daughter Ellie for the weekend. Um, but I mean, as far as like other plans, more long term, she was a grad student at the U of M to get her master's in public health. It's difficult, first of all, just to get into that program. And then, it definitely signifies that she wanted to further her career. She was looking at possible other promotions, job opportunities within Mayo Clinic as well. Um, so she definitely had some plans to to get to some higher places, I'll say.
And is it fair to say that you know Maddie about as well as anybody?
Hmm.
Okay. And so I just want to make it clear so people understand that in your mind, the chance of her running off or being involved in some sort of drug thing or anything like that, it's about a 0% chance.
Yeah, a negative chance.
Okay.
Yeah, no way.
Okay. Now I know you've gone through this so many times, but just kind of take us through the day of the 31st from your vantage point.
Yeah, so we both get up really early for work, and she's up early with the kids. So um I will typically hear from her before 8 a.m. sometimes. I had sent her a funny photo the night before. We went on a trip together last summer, just a long weekend to Rhode Island. So it was just a funny picture from there. She didn't see it until that morning of the 31st, and she just kind of sent her response back, LOL, and um, and I had responded to it, just kind of general like chit chat. Um, and that was at like 8:15 that she sent me a message, and then that was the last that I heard from her. Um, and I didn't hear from her the rest of the day. Didn't really think about it. I know she's busy. Um, and then my mom reached out to me probably around 6 p.m. asking if I had heard from Madeline, because my mom had sent some messages and I think maybe tried to call her. throughout the day with no response, and that just isn't normal. And I was like, nah, she's fine. She's probably busy with the kids. But I did send her a few messages. Hey, mom's concerned. Can you call her? Text her back. I didn't get a response to that. Uh, so a couple of hours went by, and I tried to call her a few times. It rang, but went to voicemail. Sent her a few other messages. Um, and it was about 7 o'clock. I reached out to some friends of hers. Nobody else had heard from her. And that's when we kind of started to get concerned. I reached out to my dad. He usually talks to her regularly too. He hadn't heard from her. So at that point, especially because she was supposed to come to my house the next morning with her daughter Ellie, um, there were definitely some alarm bells going off because it just was so unlike her. Um, and then just as it got later into the night, and she still wasn't responding or picking up her phone, um, pretty quickly we wanted to file a missing persons report because it's just such abnormal behavior.
And were you and other family members reaching out to Adam as well to see what he knew?
I did reach out to him that evening at about 7 p.m. Or no, close to 8 p.m. He didn't get back to me, I think, until after 9. But just kind of given the circumstances of their relationship at the time, he just basically said he didn't really think anything of it that he hadn't heard from her.
Mm-hmm. And so, you mentioned that they were no longer dating at that time. Had you talked with Maddi at all about what her plans were when it came to, the future with the kids and like plans of co-parenting and so forth? Or how much of that have you gotten into with Madeline?
You know, I didn't discuss that with her a lot, but I knew that her intentions were um to keep the kids as close to Adam as possible because I wanted her to move to the cities to be close to me, but she wanted to stay in town, make sure that the kids saw their dad as often as they could. I think there was plans to co-parent. She didn't want to necessarily take them away from anybody.
Okay. Um, that morning, from what we know, is that Maddi dropped the kids off at daycare with Adam. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
And what was their vehicle situation? Did they only use Maddie's minivan?
As far as like transporting the kids, I think the main vehicle was her van. I'm not sure if Adam had car seats or anything in his car. But from what I know, they used the van most of the time with the kids.
And what's been reported is that they came back home around 8:15, and then at about 10 a.m., Adam took Maddie's van to go run errands.
Hmm.
Does he have a vehicle that he could run errands in himself, or would he have to use Maddie's van?
He has his own car.
Okay. Um, would that be normal for them to drop off the kids together at daycare?
At first we questioned that too. But after law enforcement had further spoken with the gal that runs her in-home daycare that the kids go to, I guess it was fairly common for them both to be there.
Okay. Would it be common for him to pick up the kids alone?
I would say no.
Okay, but that's what happened that day, correct?
Hmm.
Um, the kids, I've reported through my public court documents that they were taken into protective custody a few days later. Have you and your family been able to have any contact with the kids?
We have seen them. Uh, but as far as like who they're currently staying with and stuff, I'm not able to divulge, but we have seen them,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. And of course, we don't want to divulge anything that could hurt that case or hurt the investigation in any way. And speaking of the investigation, I'm going to concentrate on things that have been reported here, and any follow-up questions that come from that, because I understand that there are certain things that police hold back because only the perpetrator would know certain things. So that's why
Mhm.
they hold back information in those situations as to not ruin any potential charges that anyone would face at a future time. But it has been reported that that minivan was seen on a certain road during a time frame. That was one of the first things that came out on the first couple days. Can you give us a little bit of context? Like, where is that road from Maddie's house or from Winona?
Yeah, so there was some footage from, I think it was a Quick Trip or a gas station. I think it was Quick Trip in Rushford, Minnesota, actually. So I think that's like 20 minutes from Winona. Um I don't know that that footage shows specifically who's driving,
Mhm.
but it just kind of shows it going to and from.
And what time was that again?
Oh gosh.
In between the 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m., right?
Yeah, sorry, the timeline is
Yeah,
like,
that's the time frame
well,
that's been reported so far.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Okay. And so so another thing that has been asked because so Rushford stretches into Fillmore County, and there's been a lot of talk about Winona County and Fillmore County, and so that might help explain, why there's been such a concentration on those two counties and asking people to share any Ring doorbell cameras or trail cameras, which if people aren't familiar is like a lot what hunters have out in the woods is a trail camera that would capture movement when it goes back and forth.
Mhm.
I'm sure you know that like how important that kind of evidence is for this investigation, right?
Yeah, extremely important.
So just to bring the people up to speed, if they haven't been following it every day, how much of this area, to your knowledge, has been searched now?
Um, I don't have an exact number, but a lot. I think over the past weekend when they had the mass searches going on, I think just in those few days, they were able to cover like 32 miles of ground. And since then, I mean, they've got people out every day. My older brother, my fiance, and a couple friends of his, they're all army guys, and so they're out covering ground every day. Um, but as far as a total um number right now, I don't know.
And law enforcement has been open and saying that they're doing very targeted searches on areas of interest that they've developed over the course of the investigation. Um, I'm just curious, how do you and your family feel right now about the fact that nobody has been arrested yet?
I don't want to comment. I don't want to speak on behalf of my family. Everyone kind of has their own personal feelings about
Sure.
it. Um, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
I feel just based on listening to other interviews you've done, is that bringing Maddie home is the number one priority first? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for sure, for
Mhm.
sure.
Um, how hopeful do you remain right now?
You know, of course we're hopeful that we're gonna find her. You know, it's not so much a question of if, it's just when. It's really hard the longer it goes on. You know, it's been 2 weeks. Um, but you know, the hope is obviously still there. It's just a struggle to keep positivity about it sometimes. But yeah, we're definitely keeping up the faith and the hope that we're gonna find her, and hopefully really soon.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost kind of a difference between hope and positivity in a way, right? And really,
Yeah,
nobody really knows what you're feeling right now unless they've been in your exact shoes. Unfortunately, other people have, but
yeah,
it's probably hard to describe exactly what it's like.
yeah. It definitely is, and I mean, of course, everybody out there has their own opinion on what we should be doing and where we should be looking, and you know, I if the roles were reversed, I mean, they wouldn't be saying the things that they're saying. Most people are really kind,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, some people just focus on the wrong thing, and our focus is on just doing everything we can to find Madeline.
Has law enforcement shared any leads with you that you are able to share publicly?
They have not.
Okay. Um, where does the search go from here?
Mm, it's hard to say. I mean, I know that they've expanded to a few other counties around the area. Um, as far as anywhere like specific right now, they law enforcement hasn't, called us and said, hey, we're searching at this specific place or anything like that. Um, I know this coming weekend, there will be some volunteers. There's been a lot of interest in using horseback to cover some area. Um, so there's kind of been a call just on the Facebook page, the search for Madeline Kingsbury. A lot of information goes there. It's not law enforcement run,
Hmm.
um, but that's kind of the best place to look for info. So there's been a post made on there, just if anyone locally or anyone able to travel down that has interest in assisting with that. I think they'll do that on Saturday and Sunday, I believe.
Okay. And so, of course, it seems that there's no shortage of people that want to help. You mentioned the Facebook page, the search for Madeline Kingsbury. Are there any other resources that people should know about if they want to help or follow what's going on, at least?
Yeah, I would recommend following the Winona Police Department Facebook page. They don't necessarily post every day, but kind of all the latest that they're able to release, they do put on there. People can follow myself, Megan Kingsbury. I may not add people as a friend, but anything that I share in relation to this is public.
Hmm.
So anyone should be able to see that as well.
Okay. Um, I realize that there are certain things that are sensitive and you can't speak to. I just wanted to ask about this statement that was released by Adam Fravel. I'm sure you read it and are familiar with it. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, we don't really have any comments that we want to make publicly at this time about his statement.
Very well. Um, any last words that you want to leave with the public and people that are following Maddie's case so diligently?
Yeah, just so many thanks for everybody that has volunteered their time, their services, anyone that has donated to Maddie's GoFundMe or my Venmo. The funds are used for, they're going to be saved for anything that her kids need, anything that we need, any, search related costs while we're here. Um, just a ton of thanks and gratitude for people that have helped in any kind of way. Um, Obviously, sharing anything on social media to keep the word out there is really appreciated as well. Um, and yeah, I guess just keep her name out there. Volunteers are more than welcome to continue to organize and go out and search. You don't need permission from law enforcement, so please keep doing that. And yeah, just thank you for keeping us in your thoughts and your prayers too.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Megan. Once again, my heart goes out to you and your family, and I can say the same for everyone here at KARE11. We'll continue to cover the case and any updates on KARE11 and KARE11.com. And I really hope that you get some news very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.